All right, guys, this is our fourth podcast in the ecology unit. We're going to talk about energy flow through different cycles. Now, these are different element cycles. We're going to talk about the water cycle, carbon cycle, nitrogen, sulfur, phosphorus. I think that's about it.
Okay, so these are going to be biogeochemical cycles. So bio meaning life, geo is like the earth, and then chemical obviously meaning chemicals. It's matter within ecosystems that's recycled. This is just a little diagram showing you an example of that, we start with the producers, which is like green plants. Two things can happen. They can either be eaten by consumers, which then they die and decomposers take over. Examples would be like bacteria and fungi. Through decay, it goes back into the soil, and then the soil, the waters and salts in that soil are then used again by new producers. Or a little shortcut of that would be if the producers die before getting eaten, and then it goes straight into the decomposing done by the bacteria and the fungi.
All right, this is just showing how all cycles are related. You can kind of come back to this slide at the end if you wish to study it. But here you can see this is the carbon, nitrogen, sulfur, phosphorus, as well as the water cycle, all played into one. So you can see we've got ozone up here. You've got sulfates and nitrates, which are in the atmosphere. You've got water in the atmosphere through clouds. You also have fossil fuel, industrial activities. So you have toxic metals going into the soil. You also can see over here the nutrients being recycled in the ocean. So eventually all of these things just interact to make one huge cycle.
Okay, so with water, carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, and other element cycles, those are from the abiotic, which remember is non-living environment, all the way to the biotic or the living organisms, and then back to the environment. So this is just showing you how we do go in the cycle from biotic or living to abiotic, non-living, and back to biotic.
All right, water cycle, which is also known as the hydrologic cycle. We'll start here with precipitation. I believe everyone knows precipitation would be rain or snow, which then can be runoff, okay, so surface runoff or even underground runoff, which accumulates then into the ocean. The ocean eventually evaporates from heat, which then creates our clouds, which is condensation, okay, which then can go back into precipitation again. Now, plants also go through what we call transpiration, so they do give off some water into the air, which then also can become condensation back into precipitation. So that's just a simplified form of the water cycle. This is just showing you again the water cycle. This is just even a simpler one.
Okay, so then we have the carbon cycle. The question is, why is the carbon cycle often called the carbon-oxygen cycle? Mainly just as you can see down here in the diagram, we have our carbon dioxide. Remember, carbon dioxide is a reactant of photosynthesis. Okay, so it's on the reactant side. It goes into the process of photosynthesis. And then oxygen is produced by photosynthesis, which is then used by respiration. So often it's called the carbon-oxygen cycle because oxygen is also involved in the carbon cycle with photosynthesis and respiration.
All right, like other element cycles, the carbon cycle links non-living and living parts. So you can see that abiotic and biotic cycle here again.
So the exchange of gases during photosynthesis and respiration is a major example of the living and non-living cycle of carbon and oxygen.
All right, guys, so we can see here carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Remember, that would be abiotic. We have animal respiration. You've got plant respiration. So these would be the biotic parts of it. You've got assimilation of plants. You've got photosynthesis by algae, respiration by algae and other aquatic animals, which would happen in our oceans and lakes. We've got fossil fuels, coal, gas, and petroleum. Litter, which would be abiotic, can actually be decomposed and then brought into the soil. But soil and organism respiration also. So you can see the limestone down here. And then we have factories that also put this carbon dioxide back into our atmosphere. So it's just a big cycle.
Okay, so the nitrogen cycle, 79% of the atmosphere is nitrogen gas, which is N2. But it is in a form most living things cannot use. So that's why this little symbol down here, N2 free nitrogen, nitrogen gas free nitrogen is basically what it's talking about.
Okay, this is just showing you the nitrogen cycle. You can see here lightning actually fixes nitrogen gas into nitrates. Nitrates can actually be used by plants. Organic matter, it actually decomposes, which is part of the nitrogen cycle. Nitrogen fixing bacteria actually fixes this into nitrates in order for them to be used. And then we actually also have denitrifying bacteria, meaning that it actually is taking out the nitrogen. So we have gaseous losses of N2, which is the nitrogen gas, and then NOx would be our nitrates.
Okay, so that was just real brief overview on the cycles. We're going to be doing some activities in class to go over these again. Make sure that you've taken notes, and if you have any questions, let us know in class. We'll see you there.